Welcome to Nerdsports podcast with me, Nick, and
Me. We're not doing the same joke. It's Johnny.
yeah, it's Johnny this time. So today we'll be discussing Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Spoilers will be included because we got a lot to say. Me and Johnny haven't spoken about this movie yet. We've been avoiding each other for this.
We've also each seen it twice.
Yes.
So
We think we have a good rundown of the movie.
we're going to get into this.
Yes.
It's about to go down.
So you want to jump into the first scene?
Kylo going apeshit looking for the
Yes.
Sith Wayfinder.
On Mustafar?
Oh, yeah, on Mustafar.
Crazy.
Granddaddy, help.
We're assuming that was to find that Wayfinder. He had to go to like Darth Vader's castle to find that, and whoever those people were, they got murked. It was crazy.
They got destroyed. This is the first movie where I felt like, oh, this dude's like strong.
Yeah, he's like the Sith. Like he is the one, the powerful one in this series. Except Force Awakens, he stops that blaster bolt. That was pretty insane.
True.
But we haven't seen that kind of power since.
Especially in Last Jedi, he kind of became a little
Way behind.
a little weenie.
Yeah, lack of a better word.
I mean, there is a good word, but I can't say it.
Yeah, we'll keep it PG-ish.
He's up. Beep.
So then we go from that. He finds a Wayfinder, and then he goes to the Sith planet. First time we've seen a Sith planet. Sick.
Exegol.
I thought it was pretty dope.
Creepy.
I thought, you know what, the statues mimicking the Jedi temples was pretty amazing in my opinion.
You don't think it's like an old Jedi temple? They just kind of like, all right, we're gonna make this darker.
No, I think it was just legit, just a Sith planet.
It was crazy.
Completely off the maps. Like, I think Palpatine had something to do with that, though. I've heard theories of people talking about like when he was in the Senate that planet was literally taken off the whole map. Like no one was allowed to know where that was.
I doubt it. If you look at it as the movies as a whole series, he's been behind everything.
Yeah, well, we find that out very early that Palpatine's the one pulling the strings here. That he's not dead, he's alive, and that he's the one doing everything.
Yeah, the whole series. The prequel series,
everything.
1, 2, 3.
He's the puppet master.
He's the puppet master in the Senate. In the middle, he's the big baddie, and then in this one, he's been pulling the strings all three. Like, I think it was a good way to tie him in. Like,
good way. Did not expect that.
He's the big bad guy of the entire saga.
Nine movies.
Episodes.
But
this man does not die.
But that was, I don't know. I felt that was a little, because you watch the trailers, you don't. Come on, man. You hear him laugh. You hear him talking. You're like, okay, he's gonna have a part. They threw you right into it right off the bat that this guy controls everything. Yeah, completely genetically made. Like,
yeah, Snoke was a lie. It's fake news.
Yeah, I was actually upset that we didn't find out what he really was in Last Jedi, but now we understand, I guess.
Yeah.
Or this was a quick fix kind of thing that they had to rewrite, but
because Last Jedi was trash.
Referring to that as trash. This one was a lot better, in my opinion.
I liked it. I mean, overall,
it has a lot of flaws, but
yeah, well, that's
less
any
flaws.
Movie. I mean, I saw it twice. Both times I enjoyed it.
Oh, definitely.
I honestly went in thinking, "Oh my man, if this movie's gonna suck, like I'm not gonna like it," and I was really, really happy coming out theater and excited to talk about it.
Yeah, definitely. And then so moving on from Exegol as the planet, we jump right into Rey in her Avatar: The Last Airbender, floating with rocks around her.
She was.
That was sick.
For training or whatever.
I was like, she's the last? She's the Airbender. She has rocks floating around her, and she's flying.
She's chilling.
She
did a flip, bro.
Yeah, slow motion out of the Force flip. Like we've never seen that.
That was lit.
Wow, really, right? And then Leia, as her master. We'll jump into that later. But her saying master in the beginning, I was like, okay, since she's related to Luke, I guess we saw that she's Force sensitive from The Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Pokey way to do it. But what'd you think about her putting the old blaster hat on and with the little blaster droid like Luke did in New Hope?
I got like nervous during that scene because she was like freaking out and
she's getting blasted right at the end of it.
She was like,
because she's remembering her. She had like flashbacks.
I think has flashbacks or seeing her parents or something, and she was like losing it. And I think that's kind of setting up something we'll get into, but definitely kind of cool how they edited it in and out, and she was just freaking out. And then she throws a lightsaber, bro. She chucked it.
We got a lightsaber throw.
Yo, how about that friendly fire on BB-8?
Yeah, that was fucked up. She fucked him up.
You dropped a tree on him, like, Ray, chill. That's a little hummy.
That was pretty crazy. Oh, and then mixed in with this same scene, we have Poe and Finn and all of them on the Millennium Falcon getting intel on a spy, which was kind of surprised me who the spy was, but getting intel, that was crazy.
Great spy.
Yeah,
Great spy.
That was insane though.
I knew who it was the whole time, just like Poe. I knew it.
I didn't know it.
I knew it. 100% knew it.
I couldn't even. You know what? It got more obvious as the movie went on.
It did, but no, that scene was. I liked it. Very reminiscent of Han, Chewie.
What about the jumping?
The light skipping was so awesome.
I know I've heard some people don't like it because we're always told that it couldn't do it, but it did it.
He did it,
and it was on fire.
He destroyed the Millennium Falcon, basically.
I love how salty he is when he comes back and they're talking to Rey. Wait, we needed you.
We needed you.
You're our best fighter.
Where were you? I was here training. You dropped a tree on BB-8.
What are you training for? We need you in the fight. You know. So I thought that was pretty good dynamic between them. I like Poe a lot. I'm a big fan of Poe.
I do. Poe's a good actor. He's pretty funny. I think he was really
does a great job.
Wrote character.
So from here we have the movie, in my opinion,
moved fast,
super fast. I think this movie could have easily been broken up into two.
I'm glad they didn't.
Glad they didn't, but it could have. There's enough story here that they were trying to fit into one movie.
Yeah,
it could have been longer. It could have been 3.5 hours. You know?
But would that tie into the whole Star Wars drags on about?
True, I understand.
Because even in the middle part, a little bit, they kind of do drag on. I'm kind of like, all right, I get it. Come on.
Yeah, a little unnecessary kind of dialogue.
So I feel like the pacing, it was very fast, but I didn't feel lost at any point.
No, I didn't feel lost. I just felt like, oh shit, like we're going from one point to the other incredibly fast.
Yeah, it was definitely moving. The time jumps were crazy because 1 second the ship's busted, the next second it's like, oh, we're gonna fly it.
Well, because you look at Rey, Poe, we have that little kind of debate between them, like I'm going alone, blah blah blah, and then Finn does his. In my opinion, I didn't want Finn to end up with Rey. I know people are saying it's just a friendship. It just felt like an annoying, like, especially later.
His whole love life is just
I don't get
everywhere. It was Rey in the first movie, then it was Rose in the second movie,
and now it's this.
And then it doesn't know if it's Rey
or this other the woman with the
stormtrooper girl. Yep. Yeah.
So when they leave to the sand planet, like the little Easter egg they throw in there, every 42 years they have the festival.
Before that, we're missing a part. They're talking about Palpatine's back because they deciphered the message from the spy.
Yes.
And basically they're talking about, Palpatine's back and he's been pulling the strings all along. Rey goes into her little room and she pulls the book out with Luke's books.
We see the books.
I told you it was all of them.
She did have all of them. I was corrected on that. That's fine.
That scene
I'm okay with that.
Is I heard about before the movie because people are saying in that scene where she's at her desk, that's where her lightsaber's at. I watched the movie twice. I didn't see it on that desk.
No.
Maybe I'm just blind, but
didn't see it either.
I mean, that's
agree. Yeah.
Spoiler: she has a lightsaber later.
Yeah. We'll jump into
that. But yeah, and then they talk. Rey's like, I'm gonna go find this Sith Wayfinder to get to Exegol, and they go to the desert planet.
I don't have the name.
It's basically Coachella.
Yeah, it's Coachella. Exactly like Coachella. And there's a big old party going on. Everyone looks like they're drugged out.
Every 42 years, it's a shout out.
Shout out to when the whole series started 42 years ago.
Yep.
42 years of Star Wars into this. And
C-3PO was unnecessary.
He was great in this.
I loved him.
He was great in this. I thought he returned to his New Hope funny, lines in. It was good.
Did they ever explain the red arm?
I think that was explained because he lost it or something. Or
yeah, he got it.
That was like a Force Awakens thing.
I noticed it this movie. I don't know why.
Last movie, he had a gold arm. So, going to this desert planet, and we get this. Return of Lando.
Yeah, Lando out here.
Call back to the first time we saw him in Last Jedi or the Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
When his face is covered with the mask, Yeah. Guy looks like shit, to be honest. he looks old.
He's like 100 years old, dude.
He looks really old.
But yeah, it's he just goes and talks about how him and Luke were trying to find the Wayfinder, and
we get this whole explanation.
They chased down a bounty hunter.
That he's been in this journey before because Luke obviously felt that this existed, and then he needed to find it. Which I'm surprised that he didn't find it. I'm sure Luke probably would find it, but yeah, it's kind of we get this whole little side story, you know. And then Rey's having these crazy feelings like she's been here before, and then we get this crazy stormtrooper chase
with the jumping bikes.
With the jumping, you know, the droid.
That whole little bike thing that they kept flipping off of reminded me of Fast and the Furious.
It's pretty, where they're jumping, like just unexplained jumping.
Yeah, and I was like, this is awesome.
Well, it's the first time in movies we've seen stormtroopers with jetpacks. Obviously, there's been in games, like Battlefront and all that, but we've never seen it in movies. Pretty cool though.
It was pretty cool.
Pretty cool. I thought that was a nice touch. And then you see them fall through this quicksand-like substance and
Finn.
Yeah, the Finn line. I'm not gonna.
Ray, I have something to tell you.
Well, someone said the actor, Boyega, he said that it was purely it was gonna be like a friendship thing, that they're not romantically
Abrams
involved.
Came out and said what it was that he was gonna say. It's just that he thinks he's force sensitive.
Yeah, so that's
so it's not a love thing. I'm glad you even cleared that up.
Yeah,
I wish it would have cleared it up in the movie.
That would have been nice to tie that up instead of leaving it that open ended.
Yeah, I'm glad Jay came out and he's like, no, it's a force sensitive thing. It's not a love thing. And I was like, well, yeah, I figured that out at the end. Yeah. But thanks for letting me know, man.
And we're good that we know that now. But at the time, you're like, whatever. So they fall into this pit. And
that's one of my favorite scenes when they fall in the pit. And Rey uses a lightsaber as a flashlight.
Oh, finally.
And Poe walks up next to her and hits his
with the flashlight.
The flashlight was hilarious.
That's how every kid felt when you're putting on your flashlight at night.
Yeah.
You see,
who didn't think their flashlight was a lightsaber?
That was hilarious.
That was awesome. I really, really, really enjoyed that scene.
That was just, it was a little comedy thrown in like they do this whole movie. It was nice. It was perfect.
Poe was just literally sarcastic, and the fact that he was on Finn the whole time, he goes, "Oh, you're not gonna tell me because I'm here? That's cool. I'll just walk over here."
Love Poe. Poe and I'm not a big fan of Finn as a character, but Poe and Finn together, pretty funny.
Yeah. And that sets up one of, I think, the biggest scenes of the movie. Definite foreshadowing. It shows the worm that's hurt.
Healing, yeah. We see force healing from. We also saw it in
The Mandalorian, which we're gonna talk about in the next episode, along with the football Week 17 preview. So tune into that in a couple days.
So we get into this whole. Oh, first they end up finding the guys looking for this whole ship. You know, they see a ship out in the desert because it's been connected to the Wayfinder. They find a speeder underneath this sand, but then they find a knife, a Sith knife that has Sith wording on it, and you get C-3PO.
C-3PO memorizes it, and you find out he can't read it because it's against some protocol.
Against the Senate, which sounds like a Palpatine thing, because it was passed that they cannot decipher Sith even though they know it.
100% is Palpatine.
Yeah, because they don't want anyone to find it, obviously. Which, I mean, crazy that there's a dagger already, but yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah, and so they heal the worm and they get out the tunnel. And that leads into some big stuff.
Yeah, straight to the ship. We get to the ship in this movie, and you're going, okay, this is old ship, probably not gonna fire up. And they're like, oh, we need to take it. And you're like, okay, we're jumping a little here. But then they get into the ship, and all this crazy stuff.
And then Kylo Ren shows up.
Yeah. Well, then we get the flash. Rey gets all the flashes of her parents getting killed with this knife.
True, because she has the one thing from Fallen Order. She's basically sidekick when it comes to the
Force stuff. She's psychic. What do they call it? The Force callback or something, that they can touch items and they can actually learn the past of the item.
And then Kylo Ren shows up. Let's talk about it.
Kylo Ren's Chewbacca gets taken
by the Knights of Ren.
And
then Kylo Ren shows up.
So
Chewbacca's getting taken away, and Kylo Ren shows up. Rey does some backflip.
Rey does a fucking backflip and chops the wing off, and then Kylo, like the badass that he is in this movie, walks out the fire untouched.
He's like, yeah, I'm chilling. That was easy to get out of.
And something we kind of skipped upon was his put-together helmet that had the red lines through it. mimicking that Japanese art. You whatever.
I'm not a fan of the helmet.
Okay, I've always been a fan of the helmet. I know he's trying to honor Vader. That's why. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah, it was cool that he put it together.
Like the red surging through it.
Yeah, very dark side.
Yeah, very dark side.
But,
so yeah, when they go at it, Rey starts pulling the ship back because she thinks Chewie's on it. That's
very reminiscent of the Force Unleashed.
Very. When they're yanking at the using the
Starkiller's
Force,
yanking the Star Destroyer down.
Oh, there we go.
Having literally the tug of war with the ship.
And then Rey channels that inner dark side.
What do you mean? She shoots lightning.
Yes, she channels it out.
She was mad.
She tries to be good, but then as we find out later, she uses that Palpatine power and just shoots the ship, and it explodes.
You're a Palpatine.
Kylo, but it explodes.
She's devastated.
Yeah, everyone thinks Chewie's dead, but then we get a feeling later that Chewie's alive on the ship.
Your second watch through, did you see the second ship?
Fly away.
It was in the background when they're putting him on.
Yeah.
I didn't see no second ship.
I saw two ships, and I was like, okay. But then they were pulling out one. In my head, I'm like, where did it go?
Mm-hmm.
But the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, they killed him.
I was like, they killed Chewie. They really did it.
But then I'm like, wait, well, there was a second ship, so we never got to see that one. And I'm sure the Knights of Ren wouldn't let just that, My opinion, the Knights of Ren were kind of...
They weren't explaining this movie. They were just there. They were...
I was led to believe that the Knights of Ren were also Jedi that were being trained with
I've never heard they were Jedi. I heard they were kind of Force sensitive in a way, and they were super into like Sith stuff.
See, okay.
It's like all their weapons and stuff are like Sith stuff.
See, if that's the case, why don't they have lightsabers? I would have loved for all of them to have lightsabers in this. Kind of like the Inquisitors that Darth Vader trained. Why wouldn't Kylo Ren train them to...
I don't think they're Force sensitive enough to make their own lightsabers. I think it's to a point.
To a point?
They're kind of... Yeah, they're into the Sith and into the kind of the stuff, but they ain't like Sith and Jedi.
Yeah. Okay.
They got sticks and clubs and helmets.
Well, then from this, they take... they end up taking off. They take off to this kind of... how would you explain it?
Military occupied planet.
Yeah, heavily. The stormtroopers own the planet basically.
No children because they got taken.
And you find out Poe used to run those drugs.
Spice Runner. That was a dude.
That was.
You were a Spice Runner. You were a stormtrooper.
You were a stormtrooper.
They did not. You
were a scavenger.
You were. They gave each other no slack. The comebacks and the retorts to each other is just on point. The whole movie.
We can do this all day.
They literally can, and they did the whole movie.
It was great. It was a good. I love the. You know what? This is one of the first times in this trilogy we've seen them all work together, and we've seen that kind of banter, that playthrough. It was great. I thought it was wonderful, and it continues.
Yeah. So they go to this planet because they gotta decipher what's in C-3PO's head. So they go try to find a droid hacker.
Yeah, droid hacker,
and he's adorable.
But you also run into Poe's crazy...
That's not important. Boba Freak
crazy
is in the
woman.
scene. Boba Freak is in the scene. Hey! Yeah, Boba Freak is where it's at. Yeah, he meets his love life, talk about how all the kids got taken.
Yeah, but it was great.
But Boba Freak's in the scene.
And it's great.
Oops. So they go... Her and Poe have a little moment. But he basically hacks into C-3PO and... tells him, hey, we got to wipe your memory.
We get that little emotional send-off. But, it wasn't
going to last. What are you doing? I'm looking at my friends. And I was like, huh?
Well, they also hinted at that. Doesn't R2 have a backup?
Backs up his memories.
And he just says it's unreliable. But you're like, it's probably going to happen. So, but it was kind of sad.
Yeah. And
looking at my friends.
Yeah. And then Rey walks outside, sees the destroyer, and finds out Chewie's on there.
Yeah, she can feel it. She can feel his presence on the ship. But from C-3PO, you get the explanation that the Wayfinder is on the Death Star that fell.
It's in the Endor region.
At the Endor region, on one of the moons, at the end of
I'm guessing
end of Return of the Jedi.
Palpatine or Darth Vader had it on him.
Well, it was in that room, so I think it was Palpatine's Wayfinder maybe. Because then you get Vader's on Mustafar.
On Mustafar, yeah.
So then we moving on. moving through the city, they we have this Rey going on to the Star Destroyer and getting to.
Well, they go to.
Well, they all do. They
all go on there. It's that scene that it was one of the scenes that got leaked ahead of time.
That whole
It didn't get leaked, but they put it out, and basically, she met a Jedi mind trick some dudes.
Oh yeah, we saw the Jedi mind trick on it.
They split up.
Good callback.
Poe and Finn rescue Chewie, and then captured right away.
Right away. Like no chance.
Y'all couldn't just get off the ship.
Exactly.
Quick. I would.
And then you see Rey wander into Kylo's quarters, and she ends up finding the dagger because she feels that they need it still. So then she goes in there, and she kind of glances at Vader's mask a little, but then you start getting the connection. What is it?
The dyad.
The dyad.
It's called a Force Skype. It's a Force Skype.
Force Skype. They're talking to each other.
The connection where they talk to each other through the Force. Yeah, that happens, and dude, one of the most crazy scenes. They literally fight through the Force. Through the Force,
like not even being in the same place. They're fighting like in this kind of separate entity that they can affect the things around them. And that's when we get the chop in the little tower. It looks like obsidian. Looks like a pillar that was from Mustafar shatters. It shatters, and then you see Vader's helmet fall on the other planet.
It was crazy.
It was crazy.
But yeah, they just fight it out, and he's like, "She's in my room. We gotta go back."
She's in my room. Then they end up taking off.
Well, no, they fight. They meet up again, and they did the whole. They don't take off.
They leave the Star Destroyer and they go to the Endor. What am I missing?
They're about to get executed, and you find out who the spy is, bro.
It was
Hux.
With Poe.
It was Hux.
Yeah, there we go. With Poe and them.
Yeah, so Poe is badgering Finn again because they're about to die. He goes, "So what do you want to tell Rey?" And he goes, "I'm not gonna tell you." He's like, "We're about to die." And so Hux is like, "I want to shoot him because they're about to execute him." And
he shoots the stormtroopers.
He shoots the stormtroopers, and you find out Hux was a spy all along.
Crazy.
But it's not as noble as you think. He's doing it more to undermine Kylo.
He doesn't like Kylo.
He hates Kylo.
After getting thrown against the goddamn ship.
Did he get force choked too?
Yeah, he's been thrown on the ceiling. The other guy got thrown on the ceiling too.
Hux got beat up pretty. I'd be pretty mad too. So he's undermining Kylo and out of spite, basically. But the Resistance will take it, and they're like, "All right, we'll take the information. We're not going to brag about it." So then they do take off. Kylo and Rey meet up, and she jumps out the ship, kind of reminiscent of when they pick up Luke.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
yeah,
I think there's a lot of throwbacks and stuff like that.
And then Rey takes off on Kylo is it Kylo's ship next?
Because after that they go.
No, they all get together in the Millennium Falcon. She jumps onto them. Oh, they have a little standoff at the edge of the docking. And then she jumps onto the Millennium Falcon.
Then they fly to the
Endor
region, Endor Moon, and they find the Star Destroyer. Beat up.
Death Star.
It's just, my bad. Death Star. Blown up.
But you also see that the Death Star has literally changed. It's so massive, it has changed the planet, like the way the planet is. Like the wave, I bet you the waves weren't that bad before that thing got there. That thing has interrupted a whole ecosystem. That's how massive it is.
The waves are crazy.
And using the knife, she kind of gets a rough estimate of where it's at.
It was like a little
curve,
compass, like connected to the. It was pretty cool how they did that, and that's where you meet the defected stormtroopers.
Yeah, the whole regime of them.
Yeah, it's huge. I was like, there's Finn has a little moment where he's like, "Oh yeah, I thought I was the only one. I had a big feeling that I had to leave," and they're like, "Yeah, we did too." And then it cuts to Rey, even though they told her not to take the skimmer or whatever.
She took off.
She's like, "I'm gonna go find this Sith Wayfinder. Y'all can't stop me."
She did not care. She was like, "I'm gonna take off. This is how it's gonna be." Because she needed to do it alone.
She knew that Palpatine killed her parents, and she was gonna go avenge them.
Yeah.
You slowly see her start getting more and more angry, more and more. Hey, I'm gonna end this. This is my fight.
It's more of a kind of not revenge tale, but kind of a spite. She really wants to end this.
Yeah, she's mad, and so she goes in there. She does a little parkour and
that's right.
ends up finding the Wayfinder.
Oh, a little callback to that though. You see him in the background.
Like
Obi-Wan, when he was setting up the Star Destroyer, the defenses, taking the beam down. Yeah. Little room. Yep.
A lot of little callbacks, and then Kylo Ren shows up
again,
because you don't know.
An occurring theme in this movie.
It's an occurring theme. They keep finding each other. They keep being around each other.
And he refuses to give up. Well, then before he shows up, right before, she finds. You see this awesome shot of the throne from Return of the Jedi. How it's still there. And then she goes to a room that I'd have to watch Return of the Jedi to see if that room still actually existed. But she went into it. And she finds the Wayfinder, but she sees a dark projection of herself.
And a double-bladed lightsaber. I got it.
Even though it's not real.
It doesn't matter. We're good. I got it. I got my double-bladed lightsaber.
And it swivels.
Yeah, like cuts in half. And
when they're fighting, she swings at it, and this thing swivels and locks her lightsaber in place and tells her to give in. So that, and then you see like a Sidious kind of snarl.
Should have done it. Should have done it. Double-bladed lightsaber worth it.
That was pretty bad. Then she gets thrown out, and then that's when Kylo appears, grabs the Wayfinder,
breaks it.
He breaks it. She
shatters it.
And they have one of the best lightsaber battles in the movie, in my opinion.
Finn was trying to get in the way. Rey's like, no, this is mine.
She force pushes him all the way back. Good. I don't think he needs to be involved in this.
No, get out of here.
He gets annoying at parts for me.
He wants to be something more than he is when he shouldn't be right now.
Yeah, he's not. He's not trained for it.
Chill, you're not ready for this.
Kylo could crush him.
Kylo should have. Just to show emphasis. But the whole time Rey's like, you're not bad, you're not bad.
She's still trying to convince him. She sees the good in him. She wants to, she was going to take his hand because it was Ben. That's what she said.
I want to take Ben's hand.
Yeah, not, So you start seeing it, and you see Kylo have the upper hand. He's about to kill her. But
Leia
comes in, his mom. His mother comes in, and she gives herself to the Force so that Kylo can feel it and hopefully get through to him.
You think she forgave him? Is that, or she?
I think she's always kind of forgiven him. I think this was her last attempt. He killed his own dad, and that didn't get to him.
Because he kept saying that I couldn't go back.
Yeah, he kept saying that. But I think I don't know. Maybe Leia knew this was the only way to get through to him. The last way to get through to him, because he still cared for his mom.
Yeah, because then it said she was gonna die at the end of her Jedi journey.
Yeah. So then she gives herself to the Force, and both Rey and Kylo feel it. Significant loss in the Force, but Kylo drops his lightsaber. Rey stabs the crap out of him.
Rey puts a hole in his chest.
Straight through him. And then she feels bad instantly because she feels why he stopped. Then you see the Force healing again.
You got to stay ready. He deserved to get.
Yeah.
He deserved to get stabbed. Yeah, that's his fault. Stay ready. Don't get stabbed. That's all I gotta say.
She heals him, and he's like kind of in awe about it.
She heals him completely. The scar is gone. Everything. She's like, "You gonna look like Ben, not Kylo."
And then that's kind of the rebirth kind of thing we got in this kind of thing.
She freaks out, takes off, and
she jumps on his ship and ends up finding.
Kylo talks to his dad.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. People think, he's not a Force ghost. Yeah, he's not a Force ghost. He's a projection in his own mind.
Yeah, it's a projection of.
Because the conflict in his mind is kind of settled at this point. Losing his mom was the last straw. So then, his dad has to come up in his head, and he tells him like, we see Harrison Ford again as Han Solo.
Old,
yeah, very old.
Yeah, everyone's like, he's a Force ghost. I don't think he's a Force ghost. I think he's a projection.
No, he's a projection of his mind
through the Force on Kylo's side. Because
you kind of, you got the banter of him telling, like, this is you, like, this is on, this is up to you now. So we get the whole change in Kylo right away. Kylo completely flips the script. Would have been nice to do this earlier, if this would have been the case. But you know what? In my opinion, it happened really fast. But we've been building up to it for 3 movies, so it had to come in one way or the other. Because he's been one of them. You look at Darth Vader, how conflicted he was, and that the dark side won at the end of the day. But we've also seen how conflicted someone that's already in the dark side can also be brought back to the light. So it's a lot of back and forth on it.
Yeah, and then it moves on to the planet where Luke was exiled to.
Oh yeah, we go back and we see the what is it, the pukes, the
the little penguins.
Yeah, those were great.
Chewie
Just a little scene.
I ain't gonna lie, in the Last Jedi, the best scene is
Chewie.
Yeah, Chewie should have ate him.
When he was cooking, and they're all just
Chewie should have ate him.
They give him that look.
He backed out. Stuff. I would have ate him. And then so yeah, it shows her burning Kylo. How you gonna take so much shit and light it on fire?
Yeah, she's lighting that shit on fire.
She's like, yeah, just gonna.
Then we.
I didn't think she lit it on fire. You think she blew something up, or she like?
I don't know. She's
like
lightning.
So let me use this one more time.
Let me use lightning one more time.
I wanted to see like a comically sized pile of gasoline, just like
that would have been great. Yeah,
I have the Force, but this is easier. Just a match and just.
Then she lights it on fire.
She throws. She throws Luke's side.
It's not even her lightsaber to throw, and she tosses it.
This is my big thing. They keep calling it Luke's lightsaber. Luke made his own lightsaber. That's Anakin's lightsaber.
It's originally Anakin's.
We're rewriting. It's Anakin's lightsaber. It's not Luke's.
We haven't even seen Luke's lightsaber from Return of the Jedi.
The green one, right?
Yes, we haven't seen it. It's been 3 movies. We only saw it in Return of the Jedi ever. We've never seen that lightsaber in any other movie.
Disney and the whole Star Wars has an obsession with that lightsaber.
Yeah,
it's Anakin's.
It was always Anakin's.
It murdered younglings.
Yes, it was. Yes, it did. It was built by Anakin himself before it was.
My biggest thing. Every time I call it Luke's lightsaber, I was just like, it's not Anakin. It's not Luke's.
Exactly. It's
Luke's father's lightsaber.
Yep. Anakin.
Darth Vader. Anakin.
Gets his arm chopped off and loses it to Obi-Wan.
Palpatine's Force baby.
Yes it is. Shmi.
The midichlorian. But yeah, she throws it in the fire and Luke comes out. He goes, "You don't disrespect Jedi's weapons."
Force Ghost Luke is a badass.
You think that was 100% a dig at the last director?
Oh, definitely.
He's like.
Definitely.
He's like, "You don't disrespect Jedi's weapon." I was like, "Ooh, they fighting."
Yeah, but it's funny because it's a callback to him throwing it over his shoulder.
Oh, he chucked it. He tossed it.
But I think it's good that Luke came in and he talked to her. She needed it. She didn't know what to do with Leia being lost in all this. She needed to say that. This is where we find out Leia was almost a Jedi.
Yeah, she was. She beat up Luke.
Yeah, she almost complete.
You think Luke was a weak Jedi, but everyone just assumed he was good because he's the last one?
Well, Lucas has always came out and said he's the most powerful in the universe, which
it's easy to say when you're the only one.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe.
But yeah, no, I'm sure he's.
What'd you think about the CGI of them?
I didn't mind it.
Clean.
I didn't mind it. It was. I could tell the lighting was kind of weird. I could only tell when the blue lightsaber was on their faces. Yeah. I was like, oh, it's definitely CGI.
But it looked pretty clean in my opinion. Yeah, it brought back young Luke and Leia. It looked good in my opinion.
It's always been canon that she had training. I mean, the legend stuff from before, there was always a series of her
talking to her being very force sensitive and a Jedi. But Last Jedi,
isn't that the big argument that Obi-Wan and Yoda always had, that Yoda wanted to train Leia and Luke wanted to train. Well, Obi-Wan wanted to train Luke.
Yeah, it was a split on them because they could feel different things. Mm-hmm. But they're twins. They're probably equally use of the Force. I'm assuming that's why Yoda was split on it and all that.
And then you see her lightsaber.
Pretty clean.
It was. It looks like Luke's lightsaber. I think
it was pretty convenient that it's been sitting under a rock this whole time. In my opinion,
I was like, you had that?
Yeah, in my opinion, it was a little of a cop-out because I think the way they put in Last Jedi, the way she used the Force, was a little much, in my opinion.
Yeah, they kind of just threw it out there. Like, I'm going to Force drag myself back into the ship.
Yeah, and everyone's like, excuse me? You didn't explain this at all.
Last Jedi was awful.
But I think this was a way of throwing it in that, she has training. She's been called a master, even though she didn't complete her training because
she chose not to complete it.
Because she could see the future. She had that foresight. She could see into the future and see the evil that her son was going to become.
At the end of her Jedi training, her son would die.
Yeah.
When she finally she committed to the Force, Kylo dies.
Yeah.
Just saying.
True. But it's also
spoiler. If that upsets you now, you last 35 minutes.
Yeah.
You have issues.
And then Luke tells her, take both lightsabers. Take both lightsabers.
Perfect setup for a double-bladed lightsaber there, JJ. Perfect setup.
You
had me going.
I like the style of having two different lightsabers or two separate.
I'm cool with the dual wielding too, but I'm just saying you have two of them, put them together. You use the staff, Ray. Not the only one that thinks this, man.
Then we start getting into the final act of this movie.
The biggest battle ever.
It was pretty insane. So then from Ray hearing all this, Force Ghost Luke pulls his X-Wing out of the water. Like he did, like Yoda did for him on Dagobah, out of the swamp. But he's strong enough as a Force Ghost to do this when he wasn't even strong enough as a training Jedi. Yeah. So
I think it just shows his growth.
Yeah, grow even into the Force, you know. But we also see Rey, you know, we get the callback of the Red 5 call that he was from the movies.
Mm-hmm. It's Luke's X-Wing.
Yeah, Poe and them, all them are just like, what? That's
She's showing us how to get
Luke's old ship.
She's showing us how to get the Exegol, and that whole little sequence to get there to the red cloud.
All the swerving left, right.
How did any ship get through there? It's not that small.
Exactly.
Where'd you gonna go straight?
Like how would one of the Corvette ships get through there when they're massive?
Exactly. And then so
Rey lands, and we get creepy Palpatine.
Dude, that was all broken. His fingers were torn up.
He happens to be in a stadium, basically, of Sith followers. We don't know. There's no explanation if they are Sith, but we do know they are followers of Sith. So we never see faces in the crowd, but they are in, servitude of Palpatine, which is crazy, which is pretty badass, actually. I actually like that. I like that whole concept that he had followers. That's probably how he got on this planet, because if he fell on the Endor moon, there ain't no way he's getting up and attaching himself to this machine.
It was a huge machine.
Yeah, huge apparatus, carrying him around.
Wasn't he saying his body's dead, but he's only alive through the Force,
through the dark side
of the Force?
Through the dark side. Well, the Force are notorious for the.
He was a Horcrux. He's his
own Horcrux.
He's basically Voldemort. That's what I got from this movie.
The connection to Harry Potter. Voldemort. We finally got the connection to Harry Potter here at Nerdsports.
I see you, JJ. It's a Harry Potter reference. I got you.
Yeah, because it was. Well, we've always
think about it. 3 of them go on a journey to find a piece of
Wayfinder.
Yeah, just saying it's all a Harry Potter movie. Shout out to Harry Potter.
Well, we've seen that the dark side likes to use technology along with their Force, so this is a perfect example in the movies that we've seen.
It's very Vader keep alive-esque, except
he died
a lot bigger.
Well, he even says earlier, we kind of he's just like, I'll kill you. He's like, I've already died. Like, crazy boss line, by the way. Death. I've already experienced death. So Rey has this ultimatum that she has to make.
I would have killed him.
You would have killed him?
I would have
taken all power.
Full Sith. Give me the Spider-Man suit.
Yeah, we see this Palpatine's basically telling her you are my granddaughter. Your parents knew how evil I was, and they took off and they tried to hide you from me.
Kill me. Do it.
Do it. Love that line.
I just wanted her to just annihilate him, just the fact to just make him quiet.
Yeah, because it was great though. And during this whole time, she's having this. She's gonna do it. She's right about to do it.
Do it. But
then you see Rey or Kylo or Ben. Let's say Ben. Kylo's dead.
This is Ben now.
Kylo's dead at this point.
This is Ben Solo coming in.
Ben Solo coming in hot.
Because you don't need a lightsaber when you got a blaster.
Yeah, exactly. He's no looking shooting these stormtroopers.
This is Solo. He's
a beast.
Han Solo's son, and it shows.
He's a beast. You can see him using the Force. Then he runs into the Knights of Ren, who, in my opinion, aren't that great, wielding axes and stuff.
Yeah, I wish they would have elaborated more and figured out what they were doing with them.
Yes,
they were kind of just thrown in.
They were cool. They were a cool concept. It was like a kill squad, like the guys, it's like the Inquisitors that Darth Vader had. The guys or the 501 Legion that Darth Vader had on his
Vader's
back. Man.
fist. Shout out to Rex.
Yeah, that they're unstoppable. You know,
Yeah.
It would have been cool to have a little more backstory. Maybe we'll get a book or maybe a comic on that, which would be pretty interesting. Stuff
in like the book of the
book
movie.
with it. So you get Kylo, who's getting his ass kicked. I mean, you get the little force push in there, but he gets his ass kicked. Like he's pretty fucked up. But then that's when Rey and him
Force UPS is in.
Yeah, there we go. Force Skype into the max.
It's Force UPS at this
point,
bro.
Then they're doing the Force delivery, Force delivery system when she puts the lightsaber behind her head, and then saw it coming. Not gonna lie, I was like, okay, they're gonna try this.
100%.
Palpatine's not sure what's happening at first, but then he understands, like, oh, you guys have this. Oh, he says a little later, but yeah, the connection. But then you see Ben Solo go off.
Yo, him with the lightsaber is crazy.
Him jumping and like going behind the guy and stabbing him through. Oh, some of the greatest lightsaber play in the whole trilogy that we've had. Because we've had some pretty weak.
Ben's a beast.
We've had some pretty weak lightsaber play in this trilogy.
Ben, Kylo, they're beasts.
But he's no joke. He is no joke. He was just destroying them. And then when he was done with them, it was time to go. Rey pulls out Leia's lightsaber when Ben shows up, and they get
demolished
by a dead guy.
They get Horcrux, bro.
By a dead guy.
They get Horcrux. They get their soul taken.
There it is.
They get Ginny Weasley.
Their life force. Palpatine recognizes the connection between them at this point, throws their lightsabers aside, and puts them to their knees like they're nothing, because he's dead, and he's that powerful. But he just takes their life force from him, and
Darkseid ain't no joke.
And he becomes full Sidious again.
He becomes Spider-Man Sidious.
Spider-Man.
That's a Spidey suit under his
all that healing. He loses the machine. He doesn't need it anymore.
Comes back to life.
Yeah,
he regrows.
You see those eyes, those yellow eyes come back from the Sith.
It was crazy.
Great stuff. And then you see Ben get thrown over a cliff like it was nothing.
It says your grandfather threw me over a cliff. You get tossed too.
Yeah,
I was like, yo, that's messed up. You really just
felt that vengeful spite in him,
He was mad. How long? 40-something years. He was mad about it.
He's been holding this in.
Because I'm gonna throw this dude over the cliff.
The timeline in the movie might be. It's about like 40, 50 years, man.
Something.
He's held his grudge.
You just tossed him. I was like, it's disrespectful.
And he says, "This will end the Skywalkers." It was great line. Mm-hmm. And then as Rey is lying there, then we get the roof opening up so they could see all the destruction.
Yeah, and then they're showing the Resistance fighting the fleet, the Sith fleet.
Pretty badass. With planet destroying cannons.
This is where I think Finn, I finally liked him as a character. Like he's like, we're gonna do this.
All jumping on the ship.
Yeah, jumping on a ship on horseback.
They're like, disable their speeders. Sir, there are no speeders.
How would a speeder work on that?
Just like, no idea. They're in the atmosphere, though.
So it just float?
Yeah, so I was thinking the same thing. They're not in space, they're in the atmosphere. So
True. So
you get the little horse-like things going.
With all the stormtroopers that defected.
They're murking. They're working those surface.
The red stormtroopers.
Oh yeah, pretty cool.
The Sith stormtroopers.
Pretty cool.
Those were dope.
And you see them sabotaging the ship, taking down
the antenna
that's on the ship.
Basically, the Sith Wayfinder that's gonna send them the fleet.
And then Finn takes
to destroy
control.
the world.
Tells Rose to get off and aims the blasters at the
Rose. She was a main character in The Last Jedi.
Yeah, she was main thrown off of this movie. It was, I don't know. Different decision.
She had her moments.
Yeah, her little moments in this. But
she stayed in the base and did what she had to do.
Then we come to the most badass scene in this whole trilogy. Might be one of my favorite scenes in the whole 9 movies, to be honest.
Boba Freak isn't in the scene. What do you mean?
He does come in later.
You heard lightning?
Sidious lightning the sky.
Oh, dude.
Amazing. What?
The only thing is, they were falling forever.
Forever. Okay. Yeah, I had a discussion with.
I was like, are they gonna hit the ground?
Were they gonna explode? We wanted some. Well, some of them we saw their ships getting more damage than others, but Sidious created a lightning storm that affected all ships but his own, which was pretty amazing.
I think the reason I heard behind it is he wasn't trying to knock him out of the sky. He was holding him in the sky.
Do you think he was like like I got you thing?
Yeah, they were falling, but he was holding them up and just
I'm gonna destroy you slowly.
That's why they were kind of slowly falling, but they were still being held in
we've seen
the
him kind of take advantage of his own power, kind of glorifying his own, like I'm the best kind of thing.
Yeah,
this could be that moment, And then we finally get Rey. A scene that we all wanted, because I remember hearing when Hayden Christensen and all them were rumored to be in this.
Ahsoka.
Yeah, I was kind of
the Jedi voices.
Yeah, she's looking up at them, basically getting lightning to death, and she hears the voices. My opinion, I really wanted an Avatar: The Last Airbender scene with, how they have all the avatars around, just like showing their faces.
The lighting took out the budget.
Yeah, probably. I would have loved for Hayden Christensen, Samuel Jackson, all of them to be around. Yeah, to be around and just tell him or tell Rey all of this. But you heard, I don't know, in my opinion, when I watched it the second time, I heard a lot of Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, he had more than a couple lines.
Balance the force as I did and he had a lot of lines.
Yeah,
and I loved it.
Rey.
I like that because I think that was the right person that had to tell her what to do.
Yeah, but what I also liked is they did both Obi-Wans.
Yes, both. The
and
older
they did
one.
both Yodas.
Yeah, both of them. You heard both of them.
Yeah,
the erraticness of both.
Yeah, and I was like, that's Yoda. That's the other Yoda.
The crazy one.
They had Mace Windu up in there. They had Ahsoka Tano. They had
It was insane.
And they had a couple other people. I read their names somewhere, but I was like,
there's a whole list out there.
I think they were in the Clone Wars.
There's a couple of them that are from the Clone Wars that you see that.
I think the guy from Rebels is in it too.
Yep. Great. I thought it was a great addition. I thought, love to see the visual of it, but also like to hear the voices. Yeah. On the second viewing, I could hear the voices more because it was a little quieter in the theater. Mm-hmm. Since I went to the Friday, and it was just too loud. So with this great addition, she needed the kick. Now the upcoming scene where she grabs a lightsaber and she's blocking the lightning, and I'm like, okay, this is cool, but. And then she grabs the other lightsaber and double wields and blocks the lightning. I don't know if I like the way that Sidious went out like that.
That's kind of what it's set up to.
It's always been set up. His weakness. Samuel Jackson, his own power has always been his weakness. I think
he can't handle it.
He can't handle his own power, because that's the only way we've seen him been damaged ever. No one can even get close to him with the lightsaber, especially Revenge of the Sith. When people always make fun of that scene. It's just like, oh, those Jedi Masters around Mace Windu went down way too easily. How are you supposed to train for a crazy old man spinning at you with a lightsaber of death?
This is true.
There's no way to defend that. So we've seen that.
I thought it was a good tie into when Mace Windu was about to murder him.
When he was starting to go, like we would have seen if he would have kept doing it, that he would have died that way. So yeah, I can see that.
Damn it, Anakin.
But it was damn it, Anakin. You did this. Could have been the greatest. So
coulda, woulda, shoulda.
So you see this massive explosion, and probably one of the funniest things is watching those rocks hit all the Sith followers.
It was. They're like, oh, we about to run.
Just annihilate all the Sith followers.
They got demolished.
And then you see that this literally took Rey's life. Like, it took everything she had to kill him.
She was big dead.
Yeah, she
super dead.
She died, and we see Ben Solo arise from the fall,
climbing back.
Yeah, probably.
How mad was he? Like, I really got to climb up.
It's probably been like 10 minutes, and he has been climbing probably this whole time.
Yes. Before we get into that, we missed the big reveal of Poe and all his fighters getting demolished by his fleet.
And he was sad.
Yeah, he
gave up. He's like, I'm sorry.
Chewie and Lando's whole mission was to go find help.
Help, yes, in this whole thing.
And he thought they didn't come. There's no help.
He thought there was no.
Wrong. There was a lot of help.
A lot of people don't. They don't like the Emperor. They didn't like the Emperor when it happened. So so he had a lot of support throughout the galaxy. It was awesome.
Ton of ships.
Ton of ship. And if you actually go back in that scene, you see a lot of ships from the whole lore. From
Rebels,
everywhere.
Everything.
The lore, Mandalorian ship is in there. As someone pointed out, I was just like, whoa, this is pretty crazy.
They're from everywhere. It's
truly enjoyable, honestly.
There's a video somewhere just explaining
pointing them out.
Ship,
and I'm sure when the DVD...
And I was like, I like Star Wars. I don't know that much.
Yeah, when that DVD comes out, everyone's gonna find every single ship. So we'll wait for that in a couple months.
Exactly, and then so it leads back to Ben coming out the hole,
and finding out that he also has a force healing ability, which was
is it force healing or just kind of transferring the force? I guess that is force healing.
I guess you could. Yeah, he's giving his life force for her. But I didn't know he was gonna die. To be honest with you, I thought he would make it through this. But then he actually.
It's one of the most controversial scenes right now, right?
Yeah.
People, how they feel about this next part where he heals her and they're staring at each other.
People say it might be in the moment thing, but maybe this whole time they've had kind of a romantic connection.
If they didn't kiss, I think it'd be a lot more awkward.
Yeah,
because it was kind of like this is a lot of build up.
Please, I think there was always
something needs to happen.
I think there was always a lot of tension between them that was leading to this, and I was actually okay with that. I thought that, yeah, especially having this special connection through the Force. I think this also kind of, I think it was always meant to happen, but when it happened, I'm like, oh, cool, that's the ending, and then he dies.
Two things about that. One, I wanted super Force babies.
That would have been dope.
Aren't they cousins?
No.
Hear me out. Palpatine made Darth Vader. Darth Vader's
not physically. He made it through the Force.
Force cousins?
He made it through the Force.
So they're Force cousins.
No, it does not count.
I need an explanation on that because
I was kind of watching. I have very much looked into this.
I was like, they're this what?
They're not.
Okay,
they're not.
But he dies, so it doesn't really drag on more than that. But yeah, I mean,
unfortunate though.
I didn't mind it. I thought it was a lead up to it.
We see his death, but then with his death, brought Leia's descent into the Force.
Yeah, they both disappeared.
I think it was both of them had to settle. You know, had to basically be one. You know, that was their way of resting.
They came with terms of it.
Yeah.
Leia's Jedi journey was over, and Ben Solo's dies.
Redemption was finally seen. You know, it was, a good way. I liked it. You know, I thought Ben was gonna make it, but I don't think he was ever meant to make it. That's okay with me.
No, that whole family had to go. They had nothing but problems.
Well, the Skywalker brought nothing but misery to the whole universe.
that whole family got to go.
Well, that's the thing. In order for that to happen, every Skywalker had to die. Every true Skywalker had to die.
Yeah, nice catch.
Yeah, every true Skywalker had to die for the Sith to end. So in a way, the Skywalkers did bring balance to the Force.
I mean,
at the end of everything.
Anakin did. I mean, he's still the chosen one.
Yeah, the whole family that he set it all up.
Until they decide to say, "Oh no, there's about 7 more Jedi hiding somewhere," like they do.
Yes, of course.
Baby Yoda's out there. I know it.
Well, in this timeline, it's actually a couple of years after the Mandalorian show. A while, like 20 years, right, or something like that.
Yes.
And it would be awesome to see a movie with Rey running into baby, or at this probably teenage Yoda.
She's gonna train. Yeah. She's gonna train the next Yoda.
That would be great, and then he's gonna show her up.
Probably. We'll get into that, but he's force choking and force healing already. Dude's a goat.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Still stick with it. Baby Yoda 2020. Got to throw that in every episode.
Forever.
But yeah,
no, just forever. He lives 900 years. He's gonna outlive all of us. Make him president forever.
So they win. They destroyed the big baddie. Rey basically saves the world.
Yeah, kind of obviously an overarching theme in the first trilogy and this trilogy, not the prequel trilogy, but
then they all fly away to live happily ever after, and that's how it ends. Hey, you know what? When they fly away and they all land back on the base, why is Rey so late? They were all right next to each other.
Together.
They left
she actually took off maybe a little sooner than most.
Yeah, how is she last?
She took her time because she was sad about Kylo or Ben. You don't know. It was very interesting, actually.
No,
I personally liked it.
Yeah, no, I love the movie. But yeah, they go back to the base. There's a big controversial same-sex kiss.
Same-sex kiss with the two women.
I didn't even really.
People were talking about maybe Poe being the same-sex one that was gonna have a romantic relationship with somebody. Him and Finn was a possibility, I've heard.
Boba Fett is still alive.
That's all that matters here.
That's all that matters. Him and his girlfriend had a little moment of
kind of look over,
non-verbal acting. I was like,
she's like, no.
Dude's a great actor. He's like, yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm not talking.
Me and you. No, okay, that's fine.
So yeah,
great stuff though. It was on it. It was a good movie. then closing out this whole.
How big a time skip do you think that is from that scene, the end of the war, to the next scene?
To Rey?
Yeah.
I don't think it's that long. Doesn't look that long. I think she did it pretty soon.
Because it cuts to Tatooine.
See, we don't know how she even made what she pulls out at the end.
So yeah, it cuts to Tatooine, and she's at Luke.
The moisture farm?
The moisture farm.
They were all where this whole thing started at.
Yep.
In New Hope.
Yes.
Where Shmi was married into, where that whole family kind of originated from.
Yes, this one farm, and she slides down into the house.
And then she ends up at the top. I don't get it. I thought that was kind of, kind of weird.
But she goes and she buries
Anakin's.
Thank you, Anakin and Leia's lightsaber.
It's not even Luke's lightsaber.
It's not.
So,
bro, it's really not.
Dana bearing Anakin's
Anakin and
Leia's lightsaber. She buries it. Basically, it's pretty cool to watch that.
Yeah,
but it's kind of a send off, to the Skywalkers. Can't just say Luke and Leia. It's the Skywalkers.
Should have been a double-bladed lightsaber.
Yeah, I think there should have been 3 lightsabers in this. It should have been Luke's. If maybe Luke destroyed it,
Probably. He was all butthurt about something.
So, yeah, something. So after she buries it, we see her new lightsaber pulled out, and it looks like her staff, kind of. Little resemblance of her staff, with a pretty badass switch.
She flicks it, goes...
And then what do we see? A yellow blade.
Half of her lightsaber. It's double bladed.
It's possible. You know what? It's possible. It's definitely. It didn't look long enough for a double though.
Double.
But we see a yellow kyber crystal, which we've never seen outside of Clone Wars and the Temple Guardians.
Yeah.
Yellow is a Temple Guardian color used by Jedi that have taken the oath. Maybe this is signifying Rey being a Temple Guardian. Maybe she's going to build the Order and protect it.
Or maybe she Mace Windu it and picked the yellow.
But it already has a pre-meaning.
Either way, it's a nice lightsaber. It's double-sided. I know inside information. It's double-sided. I'm going to keep putting it out there until it's double-sided. But yeah, she has a dope lightsaber.
But then we don't... You know what? Something I would have loved...
She slashed that old lady who was asking her name. That's what I wanted.
Where did she build it? All Jedi go to the planet of Ilum to build their lightsabers and find kyber crystals. One, how does she even know about this place? Obviously, probably Force Ghost. Two, they've been the Empire's been farming kyber crystals to power the Death Star and to power those ships. So there's little gaps that I'm.
The Force works in mysterious ways.
Oh my God!
I don't question the Force, man. I don't question it. Just let it happen.
I do strongly, because that was one of my little strong tidbits about this whole thing.
It's yellow. Accept it.
It's awesome. No, I like the yellow. I just would love to see her build. It would have been even cooler.
You accept that it's a Force thing. I just force.
Your Jedi mind tricks does not work on me.
Yes,
sir.
it did, bro. It just worked.
And then then we get the I'm a Skywalker. And she looks over at Luke, Leia. That's okay. I mean, I wouldn't want to say that I was a Palpatine either after what just transpired.
I would. Mess with me.
People just fear you.
You want to make me mad? See what happens.
So yeah, that's the movie. Based on all this, our discussion, we know you liked it, I liked it, but what do you give it on a scale of 1 to 10?
What do you mean? What's a 10 for you? That's what I need to know.
What's a 10? It's a hard one. I think Revenge of the Sith is the closest to a 10 I could get. It's like a 9-ish.
That is at 1,000. What you mean? Okay, on 1 to 10, I give it a solid 8.
Okay.
8.2.
8.2?
3.
8. I was gonna give it an 8, a solid 8.
I'll give it an
solid 8. Last Jedi was like a 2 or 3 for me.
That's a -7.
And The Force Awakens was like a
5.
6. I was gonna say 6.
A 5. I'm giving it it's a decent movie.
It's an okay movie.
It's not great, not bad.
Yeah.
Just,
It brought us back into this whole world, and not exactly where we all thought it would end, But overall, from our scores, you can see it's a pretty good movie, in our opinions, at least. Pretty good movie.
If we talk about it in terms of what it gave us BB-8, gave us D-O.
It brought back C-3PO.
We didn't talk about D-O, but...
And R2. Oh, did we? We didn't even get a chance
Boba
to talk about
Freak. was in this movie. Just letting everyone know.
Greatest character in this movie.
It was. He's dope.
We did skip over Dio, unfortunately.
He wasn't that big a deal.
Yeah, he wasn't that big.
He was voiced by J.J. Abrams. He's a little robot.
A little cool, though. A little cool. But overall, yeah, this movie's good, and that's our opinion on it. You know, take it with a grain of salt, but go see it yourself. And
go watch it. Go give it a watch. And
hope you guys enjoyed this spoiler discussion of Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, this was a long one.
This is a long one. We didn't expect to talk this long, but you know what? Enjoyed it. Like to talk about it. Had a lot to say. So, you know what? Thank you for the ones that have listened.
You know who you are.
Yeah, you know who you are. And hopefully you guys keep listening. We're going to keep doing this because, we enjoyed it. I don't know if you hear the enthusiasm in our voices, but we truly enjoyed this. So if you could comment, subscribe, tell it, maybe give us some ideas, and please, hit that subscribe button though. It would be nice to have more than a couple,
What are we at, like 3?
We got 3.
We're out here.
We got like 30 plus views. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, just all the information will be down below. I think we're nerd_sports_NS on most stuff.
On most platforms.
So the email is down there, Twitter's down there. I think Instagram is down there.
Hit us
YouTube
up
channel is just use Nerdsports. Yeah, like you said, just in the comments, hit us up. If you know us, hit us up. And yeah, it was a fun episode. I liked it, and stay tuned for the next one, which should be, I think we're thinking Mandalorian NFL playoff